This is episode 75 with Opeyemi Osiyemi.
Welcome to Spot On Insurance. Join us each week as we speak to insurance professionals, attorneys, regulators, and compliance specialists on topics ranging from improving your agency to staying on the right side of the law. Subscribe and stay informed on the effects of new trends and disruptive emerging technologies on your businesses and your industry.
Hi, I'm Ted Tavares.
And I'm Arlene Tavares.
Today, we will be speaking to the visionary of InsurTechAfrica.org, an initiative to innovate, invent, collaborate, and transform the insurtech space in Africa. Opeyemi Osiyemi is currently the Secretary General of ARIAN, ARIAN, Association of Registered Insurance Agents of Nigeria. She is the chairperson for LEOG, Ladies in Oil and Gas Conference, and a member of the Board of Trustees for LEOG. She has served as an oil and gas insurance and extractive risks solutions expert. Opey drives policy sector reforms, champions insurance technologies and innovations, and works to strengthen the industry's workforce to enable growth and development. Besides the oil and gas sector, her portfolio of services to insurance business leaders and professionals includes Gen X, where young insurance professionals are prepared to participate in the insurance profession by teaching them sales effectiveness as they are schooled in the rudiments of insurance. The speaking, coaching, and mentoring service is designed to inspire, strengthen, and equip the workforce for maximum productivity. Several initiatives, such as the InsurTech Conference, AA Mentoring Solution, and the ECL Insurance Business Leaders Roundtable, are hallmark events for transforming the sector.
Opey, a distant greeting to you all the way from the U.S. and Puerto Rico. Welcome to Spot On Insurance.
Hi, Ted. Hi, Arlene. It's such a privilege to be right on Spot On Insurance. Thank you for having me.
Opey, you have been a go-to person in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. You've been a mentor of young people seeking to form careers in the insurance industry. And now you're a leader in your region in the insurtech arena. Ted, how do we actually put this?
Opey, if you don't mind, we're going to give you a head start on your autobiography. If you were writing it today, what would it sound like? Tell us your story.
Wow, my story. Wow. All right. Grew up loving commerce in high school, and I had this particular subject called insurance. And as much as, back in high school days, I had, quite a number of my colleagues that were not so excited about my commerce teacher because they probably, think she's boring. But for me, I never saw her as a boring person. I was always fascinated by what she was teaching. And right on there was, marine insurance in one of the topics. It was so interesting for me, which happened to be one of the boring ones for my colleagues, for a reason I couldn't explain. Right there, I saw, as young as I was back then in high school, I saw the power of what insurance can do from commerce and industrial perspective, particularly because I come from an entrepreneurial background, and I had my maternal grandparent, grandparent who were into commercial activities, commerce, and I thought to myself, this is very interesting. It would really be, something that would impact, their business and their trade. And that was how the journey started out. And I remember getting on to my senior high school. Of course, in junior high school, it was in business studies. And getting to, senior high school, we had, that topic called commerce. And I went back home and I said to myself, you know what, if this subject, insurance, is a professional course, just as, accounting is and all of that, I would love to study this as a professional course. And I also had there for, technology, marketing, and strategy. So every time back in the days, we had to fill, remembrance books, with your friends and all of that. There was always, this question of what you want to do. And then I just saw myself, modeling up insurance and technology and marketing together. My friends asked me, what's this all about? But then, of course, I knew there was just something right deep within me that resonated with that. About a week into my meeting break summer holiday, I was watching the TV, and here comes the program right on the screen, which had to do with interviewing folks in Sofromore. And there was a particular undergraduate student that was being interviewed, and while he was being asked questions, they flashed his name, his department, and his level. And right there, I was saying insurance and actual science. And I'm like, seriously, this thing can actually be studied. And that day, I said to myself, you know what? This is what I'm studying. I would have to study in Nigeria, and it is insurance and nothing else. And that was how the journey started.
From there, how did you land in the industry? What was your first job like?
Well, because I had a supporting parent, my dad was pretty much, into, the fact that, I wanted, insurance and everything. So back in school, when I got admission into University of Lagos to study insurance, after my first year, my dad said to me, you know what, you've been on this, for a while. Don't you think it would be good for you to get on to an insurance company and just go intern while you're at this, so that you're really able to have an industry perspective to what it is that you're doing in class? And that singular comment that my dad made, and the attempt here for him to see that, I get right into an insurance company to do my internship, during summer, really made a whole lot of difference, because, I saw and I was, able to relate with what was going on in the sector and what I was learning in the classroom. And that experience really tied at the end of the day to part of what is falling deliberately and intentionally investing into the next generation of insurance professionals and leaders of tomorrow. Because again, my father inspired that. Back then, the company that gave me that opportunity was ACO, Standard Assurance Company Limited. Back then, they gave me the opportunity to be able to intern, and I saw that it made a difference. And that is the sort of opportunity as well I want to help make happen for the next generation. The best that you can do is to, pay it forward. Every good thing that you received from others, you pay it forward to the next generation. That's how, a transgenerational impact, happens.
Yes. Fill us in a little bit about the insurance landscape in Africa.
Well, the insurance landscape in Africa, on the general scene and all of that, you see things like the core stuff right now that is probably at the front burner has to do with financial inclusion, technology, risk management structure, capitalization, model. And for financial inclusion, there are a huge and staggering number of people that don't even have access to financial services. And that is one main, critical goal that everyone is working on, to see how we can distill financial knowledge and access to financial services, such as, insurance, to the people that don't even know about this, that can't even access it for whatever reason or the other, to make that happen. On the other hand as well is capitalization. The risk of the insurance players, particularly underwriting companies, have been regulated. Typically, people started out on client-based type of risk management model. Okay. But over time, there's a shift from compliance type of model to risk-based. So it would be more what you truly have the capacity to handle. That's where and what the extent to which you can play in the space in. And tying all of that all together. Technology really, it has always been known to be such a very conservative industry. It looked as if, this industry is just so immune from disruption, because really we're just so conservative. People don't understand the business, so really they can't come in, that sort of thing. But then the story is beginning to change, because really disruption, technology has no regard for how your industry is, whether it's conservative or not so conservative. It would come to do what it got to do. So we're beginning to see players opening up to the endless possibilities that technology can help make happen and do a lot of stuff.
And Opey, is insurance highly regulated there?
Oh, yeah. Insurance are pretty much a highly regulated industry across continental level, regional level, national level, pretty much so.
Well, Arlene and I have been heavily invested in the last 30 years or so in regulatory compliance as part of our business. So tell us about the education, the certification, and licensing process an agent has to undergo.
You know, Africa is such a large continent. It's got pretty much 54 countries in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what I'm going to do is to just give a sort of an overview. I might, have to cite, example of some part of Africa compared to other parts. Yeah. So
Yes.
in terms of training and regulation, you would see, in terms of regulation, you see on the border of West Africa, you see markets like the Nigerian market is regulated by NICON, which is the National Insurance Commission. On the East African side, you see countries like the South African market, pretty much regulated by the FSCA, which is the Financial Sector Conduct Authority. On education and training, with regards to Nigeria, for instance, we have the CRIN, which is the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, and we have a Nigeria College of Insurance and Financial Management, which pretty much cater for insurance certification, building up the technical capacity of the insurance workforce, and pretty much they're doing an amazing work in that regard, and it continues to get better. On around East Africa, for instance, in SA, I would probably refer to Nigeria, SA, Kenya, pretty much because they are part of the top players as a country in the continent. In South Africa, you have INSETA organization, which is the insurance sector education and training education. That pretty much does what the College of Insurance and Financial Management does in Nigeria, and the wider scope as well. So all those are, training platforms to just keep investing and skilling up the talent playing in the sector. On the trade association side of things, the continental level, regional level, and national level, you would typically see that continental level, there is insurance organization that oversees, that engages, every player across the continent, which is AIO, Africa Insurance Organization. On the regional level, you see trade association as well, such as WICA for the West African side of the continent, the West African Insurance Association. On the East, African side, you also see the East Africa, Insurers, Association. With or without, on a national level, with respect to, the insurer, for instance, in Nigeria, we see the likes of NIA, which is the Nigeria Insurer Association. Mm-hmm. Within, across the verticals and across the region, every player on the supply chain have their trade association. For agents, for instance, in Nigeria is the ARIAN, Association of Registered Insurance Agents of Nigeria. For the brokers in Nigeria, you have the NCRIB, which is the Nigeria Chartered Insurance Broker of Registered Insurance Brokers. And that also, is applicable. You see, that sort of model of trade association that typify such model across various countries and across, the continent. So that's a wee bit of the structure of our, regulation, training, and education.
It sounds a lot like Africa is suffering from the same thing that the U.S. is suffering from, which is a lack of uniformity. Trying to get a standard across the United States is not an easy task by any means. So you guys are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
I do have a question on that. So if you're, let's say, licensed as an insurance agent in one country, are you able to do business in another country, or do you have to apply for licenses in the other countries as well? And is there reciprocity? Do you have to take an exam again? What does that look like?
So it would typically be that if you need to play in another jurisdiction, then you would have to meet their own regulatory requirements to be able to play there. So it is different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So for the US, you've got way over 40
right,
plus,
50,
states.
51, 53
yeah, 50,
jurisdictions.
Jurisdictions, which are, states as it were.
Right.
US is a country.
Right.
With those states. But when you're talking about Africa as a continent, you have a type of, US as a state of 54 of them that makes up, the continent. Mm-hmm. So within each country has, their states.
Right.
Just as, the US has, 51 plus, states.
Right.
Jurisdiction. Take Nigeria as an example. Nigeria has 6 states. So if you are to play as an agent in Nigeria, one license, covers you to be able to play across the states in Nigeria.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But you can then use your license as a licensed agent in Nigeria to want to go to, say, Ghana, which is just, pretty next, countries in Nigeria as it were.
Right.
To want to go play there. No, you would have to go through their own, regulation and requirements and certify, certify with that before you can play in their own space.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It's just, like even in the US, if someone's coming from, let's say, Canada or even from the UK, there are some exemptions for the exam requirements if you can prove that you have taken a certain amount of courses in property casualty. So there's some exemptions that are offered even for people that are coming from other countries. And, there's certain exam requirements that are waived. So I didn't know if that was the situation just from country to country over there, but I kind of get it.
Yeah, but then when it comes to exemption with respect to courses, there are some exemptions as well. So really, it's all about trade agreement administration. Really, you should really be able to bring, the same, continent, the same region, that sort of thing. Of course, I pretty much say, for instance, in West Africa, if you have to go to another West African country and all of that, your qualification in your own country, should earn you, some exemption. See
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and also if you had, say, some qualification from CRI London, when you come to Nigeria, for instance, you should get some exemption towards your professional qualification and vice versa. Yeah.
Got you. So I want to just go a little bit to a couple of the, you were talking about earlier, a couple of the challenges that are presented there. And one of the things that you mentioned is accessibility. People not having accessibility or even just being aware that insurance exists to protect them. And that's definitely an issue that we see across all insurance landscapes in emerging markets, right? That's a normal challenge is, first of all, people just aren't aware that protection exists for them. And then the other thing is they just don't know how to access it, right? Like you have to make it so that they can easily access it, whether it's perhaps not accessing it on computers, but another way, physically going somewhere and learning about it. And then the other challenge that always comes across in emerging markets is the region's stability, whether it be from the standpoint of economic stability or political stability. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I mean, the people's perception about insurance and acceptability of insurance. Yeah, if I got your question, correctly on one hand. Mm-hmm. Very frankly, I really don't think it's a problem peculiar to emerging markets alone. Mm-hmm. It is it's a challenge, peculiar to all markets, both developed and emerging markets. However, the depth of the challenge is what is a different ballgame. But it's still the same, challenge of people really willing to take insurance without being coerced or being mandated by the law to do it. So if there is typically no law saying you got to take this cover, you got to take this insurance and all of that, I mean, majority of the people would even think about it to take it. Despite the fact that it's so key and it's just wisdom, it's just, financial wisdom to leverage such tools to make your life simpler and better. But then back to the focus of the emerging market, the perception really, I reckon it's why that is so pretty much intense and high. I mean, low perception really among, other challenges is also our culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, typically the culture here, it's a sort of culture that you always know when you need something. An uncle can stand up for you, your auntie, your siblings can come through for you. It's sort of, in quote, entitlement mentality in some sort. An average person feels, well, if anything goes wrong, anyways, I've got, families here that will take care of their loved ones when they're no more, stuff like that.
Right.
And then that puts, so much pressure on the system.
Right.
And on everyone, because for you not to step up to the plate, if something happens to your loved one, you will look at Steve Joe, oh, who's this wicked person? But then again, the culture is changing pretty rapidly because, again, you just have to be intentional and deliberate about preparing for your loved ones should anything happen. So that is also helping to get people to begin to think and move away, from that perspective and that mindset, that perception and mindset of if anything goes wrong, at least someone will step up to the plate.
Right.
Compared to, in developed, economy, if you do not, then you start, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
That's definitely good points because it first starts with the culture, right? If you've been used to, you've grown up in a culture where if your house burns, well, you're going to have your auntie there that's going to be able to help you, your network of family, but that is a tremendous pressure that you're putting on them. How do you change that culture to say it's okay for you to stand on your 2 feet and have a way to provide for your immediate family when your car gets destroyed, your house gets destroyed? How do you begin to change that culture?
Pretty much so. This is, something that really, it would have to start from the very core. I mean, the very fiber of the society, and then distill this from insurance, perspective here to link, the message. So when the core is addressed, which is that we got to begin consciously and deliberately just putting policies, systems, infrastructures, and all of that would get people just thinking outside of the box and just don't wait for the regulars that always known in quotes life to be. So you can really invest in people, train people more to stand on their feet, be entrepreneurial in thinking, with or without, whether you want to go into business or not, or you want to fully function in a 100% core corporate context, to have an entrepreneurial mindset with everything that you do. With that, people will begin to see that, hello, immediately you are nearly 17, you should have been learned completely from your parent. Typically in this climate, you probably don't see that. If anything, even, parents still feel that they need to ensure that their kids, they still have to reach out to them in terms of financial support and all that until they are married. And I don't know who really does that. I mean, and then when you see, people that tell you, excuse me, that's not happening here, they probably just think, oh, who is this wicked person? This person is just not nice, that sort of thing. But then, the whole idea is not whether being nice or not. It is much more about, helping you from a sustainable perspective to begin to see that, hey, come on, once you are 17, Mark 17, you should, be able to stand on your own and so, look back as well to help others. So once that culture is changed from that anger, then it's easier now for insurance, to then now, step in, pretty much fully to then say, hey, come on, now you know that at this age, you need to begin to get things sorted out yourself. yeah, here's a tool that you can use. You can leverage insurance to make this happen, and you won't have to bother about how to get yourself, sorted in things that you probably think you can do already.
Right. And that's where the opportunity emerges, right? It's first you start with the culture, changing the culture, and then that's how that new market develops, right? And in new markets, it's always a great opportunity, right? Because when you first go into that market, there's not a lot of competition. Therefore, your profit margins can be very healthy and robust. But of course, to just get in there, you have to be extremely efficient with how you are integrating yourself into that new market, changing that culture, getting accessibility. You have to perfect your delivery and be very innovative in how you can reach all of those new markets. Whether it's like you're saying, you're 17 years old, you're probably first learning how to drive. How do you get in front of those prospective insureds and teach them, hey, you're going to be on your 2 feet. If something happens to your car, you don't have to depend on anyone else. Here's where this market can help you.
Spot On is sponsored by Insurance Licensing Services of America. Need help with corporate name changes, annual returns, or surplus lines tax filings? Feeling overwhelmed? If you're looking for experts in regulatory compliance, you've come to the right place. ILSA provides the industry with over 50 services. To learn more about the company and how they can help, visit ilsainc.com.
So want to ask you, what are some of the major insurance companies in Nigeria?
Nigeria being fourth largest insurance economy in Africa. You have the likes of ICO, you see the likes of, Leadway, you see the likes of Custodian, Exemptions and all of that. From other countries as well, like South Africa, the number one really in Africa in terms of how sophisticated the market is in terms of penetration rates, which is, seek around, 27% thereabout. You see, the likes of the Metropolitan, the Old Mutual, the Salam and all of that brand playing it in there. And then with Morocco, that happens to be the second topping that chart, second largest player in Africa. You typically see, the likes of the Wafa Assurance, the Royal Moroccan Insurance, and all of that, and the Saham Insurance, brand. Mm-hmm. With Egypt as well, that is also, the number 3. I think, Egypt is about the number 3 in the continent. You see also, the likes of the Indians and the Arab MISR and all of that. Kenya is like the second most developed market, as it were, in terms of development and all. You see the likes of the corporate insurance, the Blue Shield playing there. But for Nigeria, really, the likes of, the Leadway, the ICO, the Custodian, the ISA Mansard and all,
As a result of InsurTech, are there new insurance carriers moving into the region? Are you seeing any movement with new players?
For InsurTech, new players moving into the region, I would say it's more of a no, and not really. But then we're beginning to see, of course, as new InsurTech, startups and everything are springing up and all of that, investors, investing into those companies, those startups and all of that, changes, the dynamics of things with respect to new folks, coming in for InsurTech. But it's just beginning to take better form and shape and intensity.
How do you turn the insurance landscape in Africa into a sustainable value delivery innovation hub for the good of Africans? How do you accomplish that?
Well, I reckon I would take that question first from an holistic perspective, from a we perspective, which is, everyone, see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And as well as, and then, narrow down mm-hmm. to what we are doing as, as a company or as a person, okay? I would say, for me, innovation is not a process. It's not function. We need to see innovation from the perspective that it is a lifestyle, the culture. When we see innovation as a lifestyle, as a culture, it changes the trajectory of things. It's easier for players and everyone, within the ecosystem to embrace change. it will spur and inspire folk to really dream, because it's important to really change the landscape to a sustainable innovation. Or we need to think in a daring way, bold thinking, bold dream, beyond what we can currently experience or what we can currently see. We need to think way ahead and then make that happen now. And continue to improve on that for a better sector, for a better experience. Importantly so is, of course, if we've been able to dream, we continue to dream boldly, we continue to think bold, dream bold. That pretty much is very important to get this conservative hold and this docile type of nature that the industry is known for, across economies, whether emerging economy or advanced economy. We just need to deliberately invest and create, an enabling and stimulating, environment to make, this, innovation happen in a sustainable way.
In essence, you're saying that you should create a vision and then use that vision of the future to guide you almost as a goal to move you forward.
Yeah, we're talking about the African orb now for everyone, every player within the ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what, first and foremost, I'm trying to pass across and to address right now. Everyone, the players, both C executives, the policymakers, the enablers, the innovators, the inventors, the shapers, everyone, the futurists, everyone playing within that ecosystem. We just need to embrace such mindset as a lifestyle, as opposed innovation being a process or a function. And importantly so is we really need to be proactive and futuristic in approach, and also while embracing agile implementation. Futuristic in thinking and in approach, but then we must be relevant to what is happening now, and we must do that fairly quickly and fast.
We have a sense of overwhelm in the insurance industry here. There's so much new technology hitting people from so many different areas. And then you've got cybersecurity and all of the issues coming in at the same time that sometimes it's really hard for companies to focus on what to do next. Do you find that that's an issue also in Africa?
That would definitely be an issue, as time goes on, as innovation, as insurtech, continue to gain more ground. That's just peculiar to where there is change. There would always be, every change, comes with its own, peculiar challenges. But then the good thing for emerging economy is that at least they've seen, what's happening in the advanced economy. And a forward-thinking person, folks with foresight and all of that, should be able to anticipate all those challenges ahead of time, and then be smart enough and creative enough to address those things even before they begin, to raise their head right in the midst of all of that. Of course, pretty much important as well is we need to create and nurture, of course, a truly, collaborative, ecosystem built on trust and openness. Otherwise, that, of course, has, the capacity, to impede or slow down growth in this innovation, journey. And equally as key and critical is investing in the workforce, because 14th century type of workforce mindset cannot deliver on a 21st, 23rd century type of landscape. See what I mean? So it's important that we deliberately and purposefully build and scale up the knowledge base and exposure of our workforce to be competitive, both, as a continent. And of course, with all of this said, part of what we are doing as a brand, as a company, insurtechafrica.org, what we're doing is we're creating a platform, an enabling platform that brings together the startups, the insurtech startups, the insurance players, regulators, entrepreneurs, and all of our investors together to begin to start conversing. Let's get the conversation started and all of that. And let's see how we can leverage this technology, this emergent new technology, to scale up things to really impact and drive the region on a sustainable pace and level.
That's kind of your current project right now, right? Is you are instrumental in trying to build an ecosystem to seamlessly connect agents across Nigeria to simplify their operations, improve customer engagement, and keep them productive, right? That's like your big project right now, right? Tell us a little bit about how you go about doing that.
Because of pretty much how the structure of the industry is, particularly, for instance, in Nigeria, how insurance is still being done. Yeah, agents and brokers really still actively play in the market. So companies are beginning to open up to the various innovations that are coming on and all. Now, if as an underwriting company, you are sophisticated in your technology and the people that will be interacting with this technology are not as sophisticated as that, it would result to frustration at the end of the day, if you see what I mean. And there would be, a lot of resources and all of that just going down the drain. So for a thriving ecosystem and all of that, it's pretty much important also not to lose sight on the core interactors of your technology and what it is, that you might want to be bringing on stream to ensure that they're not left behind and that they're also getting into that flow of the changes there that is happening. And that is part of what we're trying to make happen for the agency and the intermediary space, generally. Just empowering them to be able to get seamlessly as well into the digital economy so that everyone on the same plane and we can really make that significant impact that they should make.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, and that might be a play on words. Mm-hmm. Here in the U.S. and in Puerto Rico, we're using a lot of drones in the claims process. Is that happening in Africa? Has that reached the continent?
On a scale of 0 to 10, I would say 0.01. If you see what I mean, yeah. So you see stuff like, we bet of folks in the agricultural, sector and all of that. Not necessarily an insurance inspired, initiative or project, but more of, for them, to monitor the quality of their
crops,
their farms, their crops, and all of that. But then, of course, what we are trying to do, part of the project, is to leverage such technology to make insurance claim simpler, to make it more engaging. And of course, that brings me to a personal story, because really, I've got a deep personal experience about relief, post-loss and all of that, claims generally. Mm-hmm. And there's a way that when you have an experience of something firsthand, it just changes the trajectory and the depth and intensity to which you want to see improvement and change happen. So here I was, having returned back to Nigeria, I think about 2 years after or thereabout. Our home got engulfed by fire. Mm-hmm. And part of that incident, about, 2 weeks at that time, I was, having, discussion with the people handling the property to say, the insurance on this property is elapsed. I need to get, let's get to the market. I need to approach the market to restart, the conversation so that we could put this thing in order. Mm-hmm. While we were on that, the back and forth, that happened. And then it raced down the whole house. Everything we ever worked for, every single thing went right in that inferno. Now, of course, I'd always been authentically passionate about insurance right from the get-go. But you see, this particular incident, brought it so very close home because that incident validated my passion. So I saw firsthand how you could get being vulnerable at that moment.
Right.
The stress, the hassle. You're just trying to just put things back together I mean, just for you to even focus, even for the next, 2 weeks, it was such a task because you're trying to get this sorted out. It was a lot of, in quote, chaos. Right in the midst of all of that, the inspiration of, hey, hang on a moment. When something happens, when an insured suffers a loss and all of that, yes, we typically will get emails there from our insured to say, oh, sorry about your loss and all of that. And everyone, just want to jump into the claim process. But what happens between when the incident happens and when the claims is paid? Those few hours before the claims is paid, those few days, those few weeks, that 1 week, we do not communicate, we don't empathize in such a relatable way beyond sending empathetic email. Can we translate that into action? And that's what you brought about, part of leveraging drone technology to, for real, empathize with your customers who are insured. Can we deliver to them things that they can use real time while they're going through that intense, most vulnerable moment of their time, while you're still working on sorting out the claim? So for me, for us in our organization and all of that, it has deeper meaning for us. And just about that time when I was expressing that with my family and all of that, I met a C executive who also happened to face the same thing. I mean, the house was engulfed by fire. And hey, his own property was insured, okay? But then insured by, another insurance company, because of course, typically you probably want to put, the same risk right on where you are. See what I mean? And, between when the claim process was going on, they needed to be somewhere else. And the stress, executive really couldn't concentrate at work, changing clothes and all those kind of things. So I saw that, these are real issues coming home. So if you that is playing right in that space, is feeling this, how much more the people that are not even in this space that are going through this? So it brought that pain point really home. And the intensity to say that, each and everyone playing within, claim, ecosystem and all that. We should actually take this thing seriously because lives really depends on that. The rates and the turnaround time to pay claims should be drastically reduced within 24 hours so that people can get on with their lives.
Is that what's got you involved with new technology?
Yes, more like never before, because remember, I did say at the beginning that technology, I've always been a technological fan and tech savvy right from, my high school days, even when, technology wasn't the in thing at all. Yes, it was such a build up and a pointer. See what I mean? Right from the very beginning, as young as, 13. So it's a sort of, cumulative stuff. That's now really jolting and bringing, all that out like never before and saying, the only thing that can make this, fast, agile, and get this on is leveraging technology and new technology at that. So yes, so in some way, really did.
Just a quick reminder to our circle of insurance professionals to push that subscribe button so that you don't miss next week's interview with Pam Kalichi, Donna Percival, and Shauna Sweeney, the co-founders and current president of Women of Wholesale. That's next week on episode 76 of Spot On Insurance.
I want to learn, and our listeners definitely want to hear about what you are working on. What's your current projects? Talk to us.
Currently, we are working on solving, simplifying insurance claims process and experience across Africa. And the solution is providing, leveraging, cognitive and consensus, technology to streamline the process of claims and deliver agile claim solution for the players in the insurance space. So it just simplifies. It's more of an end-to-end, solution to help both insurers, the loss adjusters and assessors and the vendor just pretty much collaborate real time and get claims simplified and sorted in the fastest time possible. So part of what we look forward to seeing is how claims, regardless, particularly for physical damage and material property claims and material damage, related claims, how that can be speed up to, fastest time possible, 7 hours, 24 hours across the continent.
And can you give us the name of this tool or platform that you are using and how others can access it and be a part of it?
Right. It's called Claimsify.
Claimsify.
Exciting time, happening in Africa. I'm so super excited as well. Our colleagues playing in that claim space. Shout out to the visionary of Optimized Claim. Kinsley leads the startup, and they are really, simplifying, cargo claims, leveraging this technology, just making life of the African people better.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And the name of the company that you are currently working for, again, is?
I work with EdgeEdwards. And in EdgeEdwards, we position a technology-focused insurance, technology-focused company where we're enabling and helping, providing agile capability to help insurance players across, verticals, embrace and transit pretty fast into the digital, economy through generations. So yes, such an exciting times, and we're happy to, to be able to enable and help other people achieve, their own vision and purpose too as well.
Wonderful. We'll have a link to the company name, to the website on our show notes on Spot On Insurance.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
In our circle of professionals here in the United States, we always look for some advice that can help someone that's just entering the industry. Something that can translate from your continent to here. Do you have some advice for these people entering the industry now, how they should prepare, what they should do? What are your thoughts?
Right. So entering the African space, is that it?
Entering the professional space in terms of insurance, new technology.
All right. In Africa, or just generally?
I would say generally, something that would fit both Africa and here in the US.
For me, it would be aside of whether you're interested in technology or not. Given that you're interested in technology and leveraging technology in the sector here to make a difference, it will be that you should work on solving pain points that you've been through. That way, even, as you go on, it's not easy to lose steam in the midst of, whatever challenges that you might face. Because from that angle, that just propels you. Mm-hmm. With or without whatever it is, challenges you're facing or whatever you're going through. It's a real, authentic, potent, internal, motivation to see it, come to life, to see it, come through, so that real impact really can be made, because it's something that you've been through. You know firsthand how it feels like, and you really don't want, someone else. You don't want, the larger society to have to deal with that. So I would say that there is always a purpose in every pain that we go through. So just leveraging that to make things happen.
That's perfect, Opey. You are in Nigeria listening to us on Spot On Insurance. You and I talk all the time on LinkedIn. I want to get more information. If people want to connect with you, how do they connect?
My LinkedIn really is fast for people to get connected with me. So on LinkedIn, I'm Opeyemi Osiyemi. So it's Opeyemi Osiyemi.
Excellent. And actually, it's not too much of a time difference. Here in Puerto Rico, for Ted and I to connect to Opey, it's only 5 hours, which is 1 hour less than our daughter in Switzerland. So it's not that much of a time difference. So we're able to talk during the day on LinkedIn and whatnot. And we just want to thank you for not only listening to us from there, but for spreading the word out on Spot On Insurance. We definitely have seen an uptick from our listeners in Africa, and we want to thank them for listening to us every week. Thank you so much, Opey. Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for having me too.
Visit spotoninsurance.com, where you'll discover an ever-growing library of podcasts, videos, articles, and online tools by professionals for professionals to enhance your insurance education. By the way, that's where you'll also find our podcast notes and bonus resources. Please don't forget to click the iTunes link to rate and review, and let others know what you think of Spot On Insurance. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next week.